we're really anticipating the Lord's return is continuing prayer. And I'll just read one passage from Luke chapter 21. Sweetheart, would you give me your NAS for a moment? Luke 21. This is the chapter that corresponds to Matthew 24, and it's Jesus' outline of the events that will precede his return. It's a prophetic discourse. And I just use this version because I think it's a little closer to the correct translation, and certain points it's more vivid. So we look first of all in verse 28. Jesus has described all the different types of problems and pressures and evil that will come upon the world as his return draws near. But instead of saying, hide yourself in a cave, or, feel gloomy about it, he says, when these things begin to take place, straighten up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. You understand that we who really believe in Jesus have a different view of world affairs from the world. The world is continually agonizing over mounting problems. As soon as they made their way through one problem, there's two more. Present moment, it's terrorism that's occupying everybody. Jesus said at the end of this age, lawlessness would abound. Well, that's just one aspect of that truth. Well, we see the same things, but we see them in a different light. Jesus said, when you see these things, in Matthew, he said, these are the beginnings of labor pains, of birth pains. What's going to come? The birth of a new age. Well, we want to see the new age so we don't object to the labor pains. You see, a husband that wants his wife to give him a beautiful little baby doesn't get all distressed when the labor pains begin. If he's got any sense, he rushes her to the hospital and says, praise the Lord. Because now I've seen the labor pains, I know the baby's on the way. And that's how we should respond to these things in the world. They are the labor pains of a new age that's going to be born, a kingdom age. Incidentally, in the natural, I think you mothers would agree, once the labor pains begin, they become more and more frequent and more intense until the baby is born. That's the normal rule. And I believe it's going to be that way with this age. I don't think that we're going to get a period of relaxation and peace. I think the labor pains are going to become more frequent, closer together, and more intense. But we don't get alarmed about that because we believe a new age is going to be born, and we realize there's no way for that age to come except through a birth. So we accept the labor pains, and when we see these things, we straighten up, and we're glad because we know our redemption is at hand. That's just the attitude we need. Then Jesus gives, in the same chapter, Luke 21, very specific instruction about our prayer life. And I'd like to say to you in general that I don't think your Christian life will ever get beyond the scope of your prayer life. Your prayer life ultimately will determine just how much of a Christian life you really live.